Is the M3 a get it or skip it sports sedan? We got the 2025 BMW M3 Competition xDrive in skyscraper gray metallic over orange and black full extended Milano leather. This year we increased 20 horsepower. We also have an xDrive, which is M-tuned all-wheel drive, so it can send 100% of torque to the rear wheel when needed, with updates to the front, the interior, and the technology. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and I'm going to throw in some pros and cons, compare this against the competition to see if it is a get it or skip it sport sedan. Starting in the front, the LED headlights have been reworked, full LEDs with integrated cornering lights. The kidney grille is going to have that aggressive look. Same thing as the 4, which the difference here is you're getting a 4-door sedan opposed to a coupe or a convertible variant. The lower keeps it all opened up. Front and rear parking sensors, a 360-degree reverse camera. Now, the con that comes into play here is that you have to add quite a bit of features, and that MSRP that you saw at the beginning, it's over 90 grand. But what's housed underneath the hood changes the whole ball game, because when you're competing against vehicles like Mercedes, Audi, even the Cadillac CT4 or 5V Blackwing, you need to up the power, and they have done that with the BMW 3.0 liter M twin power turbocharged, producing 523 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. That's paired to an 8-speed Steptronic automatic transmission, reaching 60 at 3.4 seconds. That's what BMW is quoting. Now, it's not going to be as fast as the new C63, but it will outperform the Audi RS5 Sportback, and it's right at the same speed as the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing. It outperforms the CT4, set with the staggered wheel setup. We got a 19-inch up front with a 20-inch out back. 6 pistons are housed behind those red brake calipers. The S58 gets a top speed between 150 and 180 miles per hour with a 53.8, 46.2 weight distribution, achieving 16 mpgs for the city, 23 mpgs for the highway. So you're getting a total package when you're going to the M3. This is one of the reasons why I would get it. M-Spec side view mirrors, carbon fiber for the roofline, which helps with a lower center of gravity. Now, going back to the competition, the RS5 Sportback, add the competition package, and it just strips out the suspension. It makes it a little bit more track driven, which we have a review on. You could check out on the channel. When you're driving it, it feels very engaged, but at the beginning, you're gonna feel like, man, I don't want this vehicle. Now, with BMW, you're not going to have that issue, because this is still an everyday vehicle that can perform on the track without adding that competition package. You would lose horsepower, and if you go into a 6-speed manual, you cannot get the full potential out of the S58, which will drop horsepower to 473, and the 0 to 60 will be just over 4 seconds. Now, if you're going that route, is it better to go to the M340i? It isn't, because that's going to have less than 390 horsepower. It's a different engine, but it definitely has a lot of performance, and it's kind of the sweet spot because you could get it fully spec'd around 77 grand. But then are you shortchanging yourself, because you could go into an M variant? The rear gets the L-shaped LED taillights, trunk lid spoiler, and the most aggressive rear exit with quad exhaust tips, the diffuser, vertical reflectors. And the reason why I wouldn't get it is because you're at M4 competition money. You can also get a CS this year, where you can't option that this year for the M3. Going back to competition, Mercedes, they're doing a hell of a job out of that small engine, getting that much power, 0 to 60s under 3 seconds. The RS5 Sportback, that's one of my favorite variants, but they haven't done anything for that horsepower, still at 444 horsepower. Here, we're actually getting upgrades. It's not to the point of Mercedes, but it's basically the same thing as a CT5V Blackwing, and for me, I would take the BMW over that. But let me know which one you would pick. Power liftgate going into 16.9 cubic feet of storage. You'll have a storage cubby here. This also lifts up, and you have another storage pocket right there. You can split fold the rear bench by pulling these tabs. Bag holder is going to be on the left side, and that will split at a 40-20-40 split or a 60-40 split to maximize the cargo capacity to the M3 Competition xDrive. But we need to go inside, start it up, so you can hear that exhaust note. 2025 to the M3 Competition xDrive sedan. Check this out. 16-way power seat adjustment, heated ventilated front seats. The M3 illuminates, contrast stitch piping, perforated manual cushion extensions, memory for the driver. Now they did update the center, especially in this area here. The M4 or the 4 Series comes into play. So this has a lot more ambient lighting, carbon fiber interior, BMW's curved 1-panel 2-screen layout. Let's fire it up. The center screen is a 14.9-inch touchscreen, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio, BMW's iDrive 8.5. Put it into reverse and we got a 360-degree reverse camera, full trajectory for the front and the rear with backup assist, which means when you drive forward and you move the steering wheel a few different directions, check out what happens when we use the backup assist. You click on it, it's going to go to the 16 feet. It's going to turn the steering wheel the same direction as us and come to a complete stop. You have to obviously use the brake, but it will stop the system at where you came to a stop, which is pretty cool. On the driver's side, you got a 12.3 digital reader that can go through an array of different content for the driver, including the lap timer, because we have the improfessional driver, and you can have your navigation, which this doesn't have AR, so I would typically leave it there. Horizontal bars for the trapezoidal flat bottom sport steering wheel, carbon fiber inlays, M1 and M2 paddle shifts, as well as your regular paddle shifts right here. So when you push M1, hear the exhaust change, push M2, now you are deactivating the limited chassis stabilization. Going into more carbon fiber, that opens up into a wireless charging pad and the BMW digital key. Carbon fiber inlays, and I like that we still receive a gear lever, because when you go into the new M5, it's a flappy rocker. Not a huge fan of that. Let us know what you think in the comments. Kind of wish that they put like M3 in here like they do for the new M5. It's going to be more sporty. That's obvious. Opens up into a pretty medium-sized storage pocket. You got a USB port there. Another one here with a 12 volt. It is a driver-focused setup, but I kind of appreciate the wall in this because when I sit, kind of relaxed. Just not going to be so interactive with the display. Cluster, door panel and dash configuring together nicely. You get the ambient lighting. The satin aluminum, it's going to be more sporty. Here, one touch up and down for all the windows. Medium-sized storage pocket with a beverage holder carved out and a little hidden pocket for the driver. For the back seats, this is the opening that you have to fit 3 more. There isn't any cup holders or armrests here, but you fold that down at that 40-20-40 split for armrest. Third climate control, USB-C ports, air vents, no storage behind any of the front seats. The door will have the same materials that's found in the front, so it is more sporty. You get the ambient lighting and the Harman Kardon comes into play with about the same size storage pocket. Going inside, it's a little tight, but it actually is carved out for you, so I think they do an excellent job, especially with me sitting in the front. As for headroom, I can sit back here. Sliding into the center, though, is a mission because this hump is huge. You're going to share feet space, butt, leg, and shoulder space. But then knee space isn't really compromised. And the same thing with headroom, so you can actually fit in the M3. Weight distribution at 53.8, 46.2, increase of 20 horsepower. We're at 523 and 479 pound-feet of torque. That's good for a 0 to 60. Let's see what we can get. Just grips the road. Just a symphony to my ears. Let's rock and roll. Man. Livens up the way it should. this is where you have the fun with these vehicles, on curvy roads. 3.4 seconds is what BMW is quoting for that 0 to 60. A top speed up to 180 miles per hour, and the fun to drive every day with a family is what you are capturing. It's going to take me to some pros and cons. Starting off with the pros, you've heard quite a bit of them. xDrive making this a little bit more playful too. The interior, I like the refresh. I am a huge fan of the M4, and they basically have just carried it over here. Weight distribution, one of the best in class compared to Mercedes, Audi, and even Cadillac. And with Mercedes, you have a smaller engine. Here, you feel more confident whenever you're mashing the gas. That's what I like about BMW, because they just continue to engineer to get a lot more power out of that engine. Only 20 horsepower increase, but it does feel a lot better than the prior. Changing it into an efficient mode, to a Sport Plus. You can see every mode will change the driving habit. So you can get a little bit better MPGs if you consider 16 being good. But at these prices, I don't think anyone's going to be really concerned about that. You're really looking for a drive that is not just pleasurable for day in and day out, but something that is track driven, and BMW has given that, which is another reason why I would tick the box of the M3 Competition xDrive. Now, if you do not option the xDrive, is it a huge difference? Well, your 0 to 60 is going to be 0.4 seconds slower. You're also losing that 20 horsepower, so it's basically the same vehicle as last year, just you're getting some of the style updates in the front and in the interior. Going for a 6-speed manual, that's going to drop significantly. You're at another 0.3 second-ish difference in the 0 to 60, and only getting 473 horsepower with 406 pound-feet of torque. Now, I know that sounds like a world of difference, but when you're considering the pricing that it's at, it's kind of marginal. It's not that much in a margin. That's why I would at least go up into the 8-speed Steptronic automatic transmission. And if I got it like that, I might as well go into the xDrive all-wheel drive system to give me the full-blown performance. Because this is an M3, it's not that long, so maneuverability is never an issue with this. The steering, it doesn't have too much weight to it. It's pretty light for the most part, so the everyday drive, again, something that you could do here. The suspension is rigid, but it's not to the point of the competition package that you would add to the RS5 Sportback. When you watch the review, you'll see my camera just bouncing. Here, it's still not going to be as soft as a Benz, but it's going to be a lot more so than the RS5 with the competition added. The Cadillac CT5V Blackwing will be kind of the sweet spot though in pricing, because you can get that for a kind of discounted rate considering what you're getting here. But then when you're looking at all this horsepower and torque that Cadillac and Mercedes is doing, BMW does less, and they're getting just as much, if not more, performance. Now, going into some cons, you have to do everything through the infotainment screen. You do have physical buttons for the sound system at least, but not a huge fan of all of the technology that is implemented in something that's supposed to be a little bit more fun. I like that we're getting updated technology. It's 5G capabilities. I dislike the new air vents. It's a little bit of a learning curve, especially considering last year was a lot easier to just kind of put it right on your face if you need to. I'm at 6'3", so it can be a little bit irritating here and there. The sound deadening is not as good as it should be at a 90 grand price point. And I understand, I'm sure I'm gonna get comments on that saying, well, you know what you're getting when you go M3 Competition. I get it. But when you're starting to enter these prices, at least Mercedes and Audi still can be quiet. Same thing with Cadillac. I like the carbon fiber. The sound system is all right. It's nothing to write about, acting as if you got something really crazy. The bass can distort, and the treble sometimes will be where you have to lower it. So you will have to play around for the adjustments. But overall, when you're getting an M3 Competition, what you're looking for is that performance in a daily drive, which you get. Somewhat of a comfortable drive. The seats are going to be a little bit not as plush, so a little bit more firm, but I appreciate the sport bolstering because it also grips to your back a little bit more so, and the same thing for your butt area. And with the cushion extensions, even though they're manual, it works for somebody tall like me for a longer ride. Visibility is good, clearance isn't the greatest, but going back to that question, is it a get it or skip it vehicle? For me, I would skip it and go to the M4 because I like a convertible. And at this price, it just doesn't add up to me for an M3. I think that it's awesome if you were to get it and you're wanting a four-door sedan, you're gonna be more than happy because all-wheel drive configuration, it's basically a 50-50 weight distribution. You can fit things in the cargo. This is an everyday track-driven vehicle. Turn radius, it's gonna be about 2 lanes. Let's give her a go. And the symphony that comes into play is something that is unforgettable. It just makes you want to drive it more and more, and that's what BMW does. But let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, membership, website, and Instagram. We do live streams. Leave a comment and a like, and I'd like to thank BMW of Wesley Chapel for giving us this 2025 BMW M3 Competition xDrive for our car review.